Most brands that are using AI for ad creatives are doing it completely wrong. They generate one video, they throw it in the ad account, and then it doesn't perform and they say that AI UGC is a scam. It works. You just don't have the proper systems. And more importantly, you don't understand what actually makes people buy. So if you run an e-commerce brand and you're stuck at around 40 to 60k per month and you want to get to that 100k per month range, I'm going to show you the exact system that we use to produce unlimited AI ads that actually convert. I'm going to walk you through the exact psychology that makes you understand what makes people buy, and then I'll show you the full production framework that you need to implement in your business so that you can copy this today. Before we talk about tools, before we talk about anything that's practical, we need to study the fundamentals and the psychology behind why people actually take out their card and buy from you. Every single decision made by a human is because of one of these emotions. Either the fear of loss, the desire for gain, the insecurity, the shame, the guilt, or an identity crisis. These are not surface level pain points. These are deep psychology drivers that sit behind everything. So I want you to understand what I mean by deep. When someone is buying a dark spot serum, they don't buy it because it's just a serum. They buy it because they want to relieve themselves from looking at the mirror and not recognizing themselves, meaning they want to deal with their insecurities. When someone buys daily supplements, the majority of the time they're actually tired of how their body looks and they want to become better. The emotions that are triggered here are identity and fear. In the previous one that we mentioned, it's just a shame. The majority of the people who get a skincare routine, they get it because they want to change their life. For the majority of their life, they spent it neglecting themselves. And so now they feel guilt and they want to improve themselves to match a certain identity. The product is going to be the vehicle. But what actually gets them to buy is going to be the emotional trigger. If you look at Facebook ad library and you look at your competitors, the majority of the time what you're going to notice is that their ads are very surface level. Yes, they might talk about the specific problems that these customers are facing. They are not hitting these 6 emotions that I previously mentioned. The brands that are scaling, the brands that are running 200, 300, maybe 400 ads as well simultaneously are the brands who are constantly testing these concepts, testing these angles, and hitting hard in terms of the emotions and speak directly to their customers by using these 6 emotions that I mentioned. And that's literally how I added to this brand an extra 250% in revenue, and for their emails, an extra 500%. Now back to the value, these are the 5 angles that you need to be running in order to properly hit and trigger these emotions. The first angle is going to be the problem agitation. You're not going to be describing the problem, you're going to make the viewer feel the weight of actually what happens if they don't solve it. And this is not something that you can only use in marketing. You use this with everything that you do. Whenever you're on a sales call, the whole framework that you use is to get people to realize this point so that you can close them. If you fuck up with your framework and you don't get them to realize that the position that they are in right now is going to ruin them, then you obviously won't be able to close the deal. So you want to be honest, you want to be bold with your creative, and you want to make them realize the cost of inaction. The other angle that I use is the mechanism reveal. You're basically going to make them realize that they are going to get a piece of knowledge that not a lot of people know. And that piece of knowledge is going to become part of their identity. That will make them feel like they finally found a solution to the problem that they've been throwing a lot of money at and seeing no results. The other angle is social proof, and this is very obvious. Humans are hardwired to evidence. Chances are if somebody that they know used your product, they're probably going to get it themselves. And what I see a lot of brands are doing, they're using celebrities, but people don't really care about celebrities. They care about people that have the same insecurity. Don't forget the 6 emotions. Insecurity is one of them. Number 4 is the transformation story. Like I mentioned before, within the 6 emotions, people desire gain. They want to win. It's normal human nature. People constantly want to improve. They want to reach higher goals. They want to make their lives better. And what is the number 1 way to get a human to do something is to inspire them. This is what the world leaders have been doing. This is what every single person that you look up to has done to you. When a story is written correctly, you don't realize that it's an ad. It captivates you, it makes you fall in love with the brand, and it makes you obsessed with it. And this will build loyal customers, and this is exactly what you want in order to maximize your LTV to CAC ratio. An amazing angle is also the founder authority. Now, this is not the founder videos that everybody talk about. This is actually when a real person is explaining why something failed them. And by that, the viewer is going to either relate to them and validate that their struggle is real, and also they're going to have guilt that they have not been able to solve this problem yet. And these 2 combinations are super powerful. Each one of these angles speak to a different emotional trigger. Each one of them is going to reach a different buyer, and each one of them is going to convert at a different rate for different people. And this is exactly why you need to be running all of them at the exact same time. Meta with the Andromeda algorithm, and Meta will find the right trigger for the right person if you give it enough data. Now, this is where the ads are either won or lost, okay? A weak brief is going to produce a weak ad regardless of what tool you're going to use. What's important is the copy. If the story is good, your ad is going to convert. If the story is bad, even if it was made by the best AI creator, it's trash. So when you're prompting, you don't want to give it some normal generic things like make a video about a dark spot serum for a woman with uneven skin tone. And by the way, this is exactly what these influencers on social media are telling you to do. They're telling you to go to ArcAds and give it a simple prompt just like that and then throw it in your ad account. I guarantee if you do this, your ads are not going to convert. What actually is going to convert is being very precise with the angle that you want to use, the trigger that you want to use, using these emotions that we talked about. The avatar, it's very important to have avatars because people relate to different avatars. And obviously you want to have a very, very powerful hook because the hook is going to determine whether or not the video is actually going to do well. If the majority of people skip the first 5 seconds, obviously your ad is not going to perform, which leads to these components. So to be more precise, we have component 1, which is the angle and the trigger that you want to use, okay? Which of the 5 angles you want to use? Which one out of the 6 emotional triggers that we talked about are you going to use? This is the foundation. Next, like I said, the avatar, very important. People relate to different avatars. Specific insecurities, fear, desires, that the same person is carrying. Other thing is the hook, very, very important. Script, very, very important. If you have a strong hook but a bad script, you're not going to convert. You want to have a strong script so that you can have a strong hold rate and at the same time have compelling copy that is going to constantly hit this emotional trigger and get them to buy. Try to keep it less than 45 to 60 seconds. Ideally, you want to have it at 30 seconds and you want to have it written at the voice of someone who's actually living the problem or lived the problem. The tone is very important. You want to be very sentimental. It needs to be raw, enthusiastic. It needs to be real. And then before you build, you want to have visual direction. You want to have the proper environment, the proper B-rolls to get everything moving. Each angle is going to reach a buyer that others cannot. And each buyer is going to convert at a different angle. The problem agitation angle is going to reach the people who are frustrated and they've accepted the problem, but they haven't acted on it yet. They're aware of the problem. The mechanism reveal is for the people who are skeptical, okay? They've tried other solutions, but it hasn't worked for them. So they're not too sure how your product is going to help them. And so you need to make them believe that this one is different, that this one is the solution. Social proof for the people who are hesitant. They're nearly convinced, but they need some external proof in order to bite the bullet. Transformation is, the people who are inspired by others. They're not buying the product. What they're buying is the future version of themselves that they actually aspire to be. Then it's the founder authority. This is for the people who don't trust other brands, that they've been let down by other brands and they need like an actual person to believe in. So if you're going to be running 1 or 2 out of these angles, it's not going to work. You're going to come and tell me, Matteo, what you're saying doesn't work. I'm going to ask you, how many angles did you test? You're going to tell me, oh, I did 1 or 2. This is not enough. You need to run all 5 so that Meta is going to find every single type of buyer that is going to get your product. All these psychological entry points, Meta is going to distribute each angle to the right audience via the creatives that you're going to do. So focus on your creatives, focus on the output, and be intentional with your actions so that you're going to get the people to convert, okay? Now, I think we've had enough of psychology and theory. Let's actually get to how to do it. We're on ArcAds now. This is a fresh account because I don't want to leak anything from my clients. But basically what you have in ArcAds is a lot of options. You can get the basic here, talking actors. This is the easiest one. You just put in the script. Very simple. You go to add actors. From there, you have a wide variety of actors that you can choose depending on who you're trying to target. You're trying to target Gen Zs. You can go with her, for example. You're trying to target some older people. You can go with these guys. It really depends on who you're trying to target and your avatar, obviously.
I'm one of the natural.
Obviously, there's a lot more options. You can go to see more. You can do clean motion control. So if you have a winner and you don't want to change the script, you want to do more videos of these, but with different avatars, then all you got to do is you put in the video there and you put in the image of the avatar that you want to use and you get a fresh creative with the same probability of winning. Inside, you can use Nanobanana too, but I don't recommend building the characters here just because it's pretty expensive compared to what you're actually getting. You can use Kling 3.0, which is great for B-rolls, cinematic things. Prompt builder is not very important. You can do it on Claude. Claude is super powerful. I don't use Grok. What I recommend using is either the UGC Studio, the product showcase, if this is something that you want to do. This is great for B-rolls and having voiceovers. You can do a fashion try-on. The hook repurposer tool is great if you already have a viral proven video and you just want to repurpose the hooks. Unboxing videos are great. Sora 2 Pro, where is it? There we go. Sora 2 Pro is amazing for making UGC ads. The thing is, there's no character consistency, so you can't pre-build your avatar. So this is where you're going to be very, very specific about your prompting. So let's say you do select Sora 2 Pro, okay? Boom. Sora 2 Pro, you need to describe the video. What I recommend doing is going onto Claude, okay, and building these huge prompts, okay? You give it all the details. For example, you tell it, I want to build XYZ, and then you tell it avatar, and you talk about the avatar, and then you go angle, you talk about the angles, and then the emotion, and then you talk about it. Basically everything I mentioned right here about what you actually need to do, the angle, the avatar, the hook, the script, the tone, the visual direction. You feed Claude exactly what you want. Make sure to use Model Sonnet 4.6, or if you're feeling fancy, go ahead and use Opus, but it's pretty overkill for this task. So give it everything, blah, 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 boom, hit enter, you'll get a prompt. You go, you throw that prompt into Arcads, you click generate, you're gonna get your video. It might take a couple of tries, but the majority of time it's going to do good in the first try. What's great for building characters is Higgsfield. Higgsfield is amazing for generating images because you have access to all of these different models. Nanobanana, GPT 1.5, Seedream, all of these things. Obviously, Nanobanana 2 or Nanobanana Pro is the model that you usually want to use because you can get these super realistic humans. You can build your characters there, you can build your scenes there, and it's just amazing for recreating your ideas into reality. Same thing goes with videos. You have an infinite amount of options that you can use for videos. It's kind of similar to Arcads, but Arcads is just mainly built for making UGC videos specifically. Kling is great for anything you want to do for B-rolls or just building the characters. Higgsfield is good for just building all the characters and the scenes, the B-rolls, but I don't really recommend using it to build your UGC. What I really recommend is this, Weavy. And this is actually what I use for the majority of my clients, because I do have international clients. And one thing to mention, Arcads, especially for example with Arabic, is not good. I don't recommend it, you're gonna waste credits. I've tried it multiple times, it just does not work. What works great is Google VO3, which you can use right here. This is kind of the workflow that I use. So basically in the character creator, and by the way, if you want it, I can send it to you. Just comment the word workflow and I'll send it to you. But like I was saying, you input your model characteristic, you click run the model, you click run the model again, you run it through Higgsfield image and then Nanobanana 2 to just remove anything that makes it not real. You put in your product, boom, you hit the prompt and everything, it's gonna generate everything. Right here, you put in your prompt, your scripts and everything. You split it with an array, creates different scripts. Then you put it into Google VO3. Google VO3 is the model that you want to use. It's the best thing out there. It's so good. You can create a bunch of iterations with it here in the unlimited multiplier. Describe the target consumers, the system prompt and everything. Then it's going to build you a lot of different characters. You put in the product, then you'll get unlimited ads. And then you can just motion control and rinse and repeat everything. It's a very simple process, amazing process to do. I'm going quickly here because I'm trying to fit everything into one video. If at one point you want me to go more in depth into Weavy, for example, or Arcads, or even Higgsfield, just comment below and I will do another video specifically focusing on that. But after that, you can get some amazing results like this one right here, or this one right here. If you have the right prompts, it's very easy. Now, after you've done all of this, all that's left for you to do is to put it in your ad account, test it in your prospecting campaign, make sure you're targeting new customers to validate your ideas. The ones that work, double down on them, create more concepts, create more angles. And this is how you're going to scale your brand from 40 to 60K per month to 100K per month and reach those big boy numbers that you've always wanted to reach. Now, if this is way too complicated for you or you simply don't have the time to do it, just click the link in the description. We'll hop on a call. I'll break down everything for you and do a free ad account audit. If we are in line and we decide to work together, then I'll implement all of these systems within your brand. If not, then you're going to get a bunch of clarity on what are the next steps that you need to take for your brand so that you can scale it to these record months.